Now it's fine. Okay, a very, very good morning to everyone. Let this not be a formal session. We've started on the right note. If you have any kind of questions, doubts, worries, anything, immediately stop and ask me. I'll be happy. These are my views. So I'll be really interested in knowing how you take it as students. As Anjali said, I have a passion for education and I love students at all levels. From the little toddlers whom we do storytelling with to the grown-ups. So my purpose here is to reach out to you. So don't sit there quietly, just listening in awe that there is some person from the university. Do I look someone very frightening? Someone who doesn't smile? I'm not like that, right? So just feel free to ask whatever you wish to. Now, today the colors are playing games with us, but let's see if you can, will you be changing the slides for me? Thank you very much. All right. So actually, can you read it? If we can turn off a couple of lights maybe. Sorry? Original is black and white. That's all right. Let's move to the next slide. Let's see, there may be a problem with only one. No, it's like this. It's all along. That's all right. I'll help you by reading most of it. One more, maybe? It's all right. Let's not waste time. It's black and white. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. All right. So are you fine with this? Let's start with a very, very basic question. Why is it that though we have acknowledged and identified the problems in our society and have discussed possible solutions ad nauseum, we are unable to translate our thoughts into action and bring about meaningful social change? Please, interact with me. It's going to be much more interesting if you do that. Why do you think that though we know what the problems are in our society, and we have also discussed solutions infinitely, why can we not change this into meaningful social change? Any guesses? Yes, please. Very good. Yes, that is very true. You are in your comfort zone and there is a lot of safety in numbers. 20 million people do it. How can I think differently? Very, very interesting. Anyone else? Any other guesses? That was a good one. Yes. Excellent, excellent. It's fierce individualism. Me and mine alone. I matter. At best, my family matters, my bank balance, and my properties. Very good. I'm not going to jeopardize any of these and stick my neck out. Good, good. Anyone else? Do you realize something very, very vital? Is there a subject on your school or college curriculum which reads as a subject called self-knowledge? It's just not there. And therefore I think the initiative, now I'm not saying this because Anjali ma'am is my friend, but the initiative that she has taken to start this center is amazing. It's a unique contribution that she's going to leave behind when she retires. A center of mindfulness. All right, where is the mind? Where do you locate the mind? over here, but that's the brain. So we constantly associate the mind only with the brain. But the mind is in every cell of our body. We think and feel with our bodies. One reason for not being able to bring about meaningful social change is because we are so numbed by all the violence, by all the horrible things that happen in our society. We are numbed. We have stopped feeling intensely. This is what one of the greatest thinkers of India, whom I deeply respect, Jiddu Krishnamurti, says. Do you dare to feel intensely? When will you change something? When you feel intensely. Not be what Amartya Sen calls the argumentative Indian, and just go on talking and talking and think, oh, you know, it shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like that. If you want to bring about change, again, as Gandhiji said, you will be the first person to change. But we are so keen on changing the world. We forget that the first person who needs to change is only us. And yet our entire education system only pumps up with us with information and a few skills. But having information and skills does not prepare you to face the complexities of life. Do you agree with that? Do you know how to handle your emotions? Have you ever been taught that? Do you know how to delve into your own psyche and understand where are these thoughts coming from? Where is this anger coming from? Where is this jealousy coming from? Nothing prepares us for that. And this is not with specific reference only to the Indian system. It is world over. So, if we want to bring about meaningful social change, we must believe that right education comes from self-knowledge and feeling intensely. Are some of you members of any voluntary associations? People who like pets, people who work for the environment. What makes you go and do that kind of work instead of sitting in front of your computer and doing Facebook? Something you feel intensely, right? So allow yourselves to feel intensely. You have been told in this dichotomous way of thinking that it's always thought versus emotion. And the Cartesian system has always privileged thought. But there is no boundary between thought and emotion. There is no versus. Unfortunately, if you believe in that dichotomy, you stop feeling. You stop being human. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Yes. All right. So, exactly. Right. Absolutely. At the conscious level, you make New Year resolutions, and then you find that in the next 10 days, you're back to square one. Any guesses why this happens? Very, very interesting point that you brought up. Any guesses why this happens? Could we say you lack the will? Yes, tell me. Sorry? Lack of determination. And what is this determination with reference to? Can you go a step further? Do you, perfect. Do you also see the herd mentality operating there? New Year resolutions are to be broken. And absolutely, and the point he made so pertinently, we lack determination. Now, why is this determination necessary? There are three brains that we have within us. All right? The neocortex, which is your rational brain. So when you make a New Year resolution, or when a good thought is fed to you, you accept it and you say, okay, I'll work on that. But unless you repeat it, and for that you need determination, it doesn't become a part of your limbic brain. and the emotional brain. Nothing wrong about emotions, please understand. But when you repeat a thought, then it becomes a part of your emotional brain. And lastly, after a while, it becomes so natural to you that it becomes a part of your reptilian brain. That is when your behavior changes. Now let's take a very simple example of modern fads of dieting, since that's something all of you are familiar with. All right? You know that the only sensible dieting is not to cut out things from your diet, but to eat sensibly and in moderation, everything and anything. So what is required? A lifestyle change is required. A lifestyle change is required, and when will that happen? When you repeat it. With determination, you repeat it, it becomes a part of your emotional brain, and then it becomes a part of your reptilian brain. And then it becomes just a habit. And then you have no weight issues. But instead of that, what do? We go by the fads. We do go by what society is promising us. And what is society promising us? Just do this and it will change. It's got thousands of tablets and all kinds of things to make you believe that if only you have that, things will change. But it doesn't. So just one little silly example, and with that, let's get on. Yes. Okay. So I'll illustrate this with the 100th monkey syndrome. Does anyone know about this? This is a story which is rooted in fact. Monkeys on different islands in Japan were being observed by groups of anthropologists. And these anthropologists wanted to befriend the monkeys, so they gave them sweet potatoes. There was one little baby monkey who was very enterprising and a natural leader. One day she took her sweet potato and she washed it in water before popping it into her mouth. And it tasted nicer without the mud and grime. So her little friends started imitating her. And finally the adults caught on. Adults catch on late, you know that. Because their brains are just not as plastic and malleable as children's. So you would say, no big deal. This is simple imitative behavior. But what happened was, anthropologists on other islands in Japan started reporting that all monkeys were washing their sweet potato in water before popping them in their mouth. The theoretical biologist Rupert Sheldrake, he explains this with reference to his morphic field theory. I won't get into it, I won't bore you. Very, very simply, if 33.4% of a species repeat a gesture or a thought, it becomes a part of the collective consciousness. So students, do you see what kind of power you have? If you want to change things, you have to focus on it en masse. 33.4% is a tipping point. Once that is reached, change must happen. This is a truth of science. And let's take a very simple example. In the 60s, when the ecological movement, the Greenpeace movement started, people sneered at them and said they were stupid tree huggers. Now, is there any human being who really is sensible and can say, yes, yes, we can trash the planet and get away with it? Now we can't say that. What has happened? The tipping point has been reached. And therefore, our thinking, our collective thinking has changed. So, students, if we want to bring about any kind of change, we have to make a concerted effort and do it without feeling deterred. What's the use? I'm just small fry. How can I change the education system? How can I change corruption? How can I change this? As Mother Teresa very powerfully said, if every drop in the ocean only thinks of itself as an insignificant drop, the concept of an ocean will not come about. All right? So each one here is important. Metaphorically, you may be the 10th monkey, the 29th monkey, the 48th monkey, but when change happens, it will happen once the 100th monkey repeats it. So this is called the 100th monkey effect. All right? Is this clear? And do you believe, as young students, do you believe that you can bring about change? And how can you bring about change if one person decides, I don't think, I'll try my level best, but I don't think I can really do it. That attitude will not bring about change. Why? Because you use the word try. Have you ever got into an aeroplane and heard the pilot saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'll really try very hard to get the plane off the ground. Oops, you'll jump out of the train, right? The plane. So don't use the word try. It's a useless word. Just do it. With total determination, do it. Who will listen to me? Maybe no one will. You think when I started my work, particularly my work in education, anyone cared? Nobody cared. Nobody really cared. Oh, it's some wishful thinking of some fanciful professor sitting and doing our own research. But now change is happening. Why? Because I refused to feel disheartened. I persevered. And thank God that I have the kind of friends and support that I have, because they helped me. Two of them are here. They help me persevere, come what may. So change has to happen. And last week when I was in Lonavala with the ICSE principals, 45 principals from the schools in Mumbai, Nasik and Pune, they completely agreed that what I was talking about was something they should give serious thought to. So they want these workshops to be done in their schools. All right, so just go on. Don't at all feel deterred when people don't believe in you. That's okay. They're not ready for you. As Thoreau says, they do not hear the same drum. They're used to a different drummer. Okay? So it's up to us to get them used to our kind of music, what we have to say to them. Yes, please. Can you change? All right. Now, the change in our educational system can be brought about by merely changing our perceptions. Perhaps you know this quotation from Gandhi. Gandhiji said, our perceptions become our beliefs. Our beliefs become our thoughts. Our thoughts become our words. Our words become our actions. Our actions become our habits. Our habits become our values, and our values become our destiny. So if we talk in a very fatalistic way and we say, this is our destiny to suffer in this country, this is a mess, this is a dirt, this is the educational system, nothing will change. To change the destiny, you have to change your perception. As the poet B.P. Nichol would say, put your mind in a different space. View the same problem from a different angle and you will have a different perception. Let me explain this a little more carefully. Suppose there is a campfire and all of us are sitting in a circle round the campfire. And each one is asked to describe exactly what he or she sees 90 degrees ahead. What I see 90 degrees ahead is different from what you see 90 degrees ahead and what Anjali ma'am sees 90 degrees ahead. And if we are in a circle, we are seeing something very, very different. It's all right to be different, but we talk in terms of tolerating differences instead of celebrating differences and then working together. All right? I'm saying two things. Celebrate differences, but that doesn't mean, okay, you go your way, I go my way. Let's think of some tangible ways in which we can change things. So it starts with only changing your perception. Are you with me? Yes? All right, let's carry on. One of the things that most of us are unaware of is that we think in different ways. We think in very different ways. Let's start with the first one. The first kind of thinking is what is called serial thinking. Serial thinking is rational, logical, rule-bound thinking. All right? If computer probes are put on your head while you are doing this kind of thinking, the computer probes show geometrical shapes, actually. Now, suppose I say 2 plus 2 makes 7. What is your first reaction? No. Because this has been hardwired into your brain that 2 plus 2 makes 4. Logical, rule-bound thinking. Very, very important. Or if I say, I sit chair here. Again, the structure of the sentence is hardwired into your brain, so you'll reject it. You'll say it's wrong. Now, this kind of logical, rule-bound thinking is extremely important for our day-to-day living. Extremely important. Now, if you see a bus and you're on your way home, will you jump into the first red bus that comes along? No. You will see the number to know that it's going to the right destination, right? You won't say, oh, red bus and I'm in. You could be taken anywhere, right? So your logical thinking is extremely important for your day-to-day living. But as the great mistake of the Yogananda school, Daya Mata said, it's only a 12-inch foot ruler with which you try to measure the universe. Your logical intelligence will not help you to understand intuitive intelligence, which is vast and endless. And of course, Dadaji has an amazing book on intuitive intelligence. So, intuitive intelligence goes way beyond your logical intelligence. I'm not in any way saying that logical thinking is unimportant. You wouldn't be able to write your examination papers, would you? Or you would present your teachers with stream of consciousness answers, which wouldn't do, right? So this kind of thinking is important, but it's overvalued. From the time of Descartes, it's been, I think, therefore I exist. What about feeling? I feel, therefore I exist. I am a sensate. I experience sensations, therefore I exist. I am intuitive, and I go by my intuitions, therefore I exist. You develop a very, very narrow view of intelligence. All right? And this is not what it's all about. I'm going to illustrate this with a fun story. This is a story of Forrest Gump. You know the story? You know the character Forrest Gump, yeah? Okay, great. Forrest Gump died and went to heaven. And he tried to get through the gates of heaven, but St. Peter said, no, sorry boss, you can't get in immediately. You have to pass a test. And Forrest Gump said, oh, back on earth there were a whole lot of entrance tests. And now, even to get into heaven, I need an entrance test? St. Peter said, sorry, but that's a new rule. I can't help it. It must be a new GR from God. So, anyway, so there were 3 simple questions. Question 1 was, what was question 1, if you know the story? How many days in the week begin with the letter T? T. Simple? Tuesday and Thursday? Okay, let's see. Fine. How many seconds are there in a year? Now, this is getting tricky. How many seconds are there in a year? Even the more mathematically minded people will have trouble with that. Of course, somebody who is mathematically challenged like me won't even try it. And third question, what is God's first name? So St. Peter said, don't worry, Forrest Gump, go back to earth, think about it, and come tomorrow. Next day, bright and early, Forrest Gump went to St. Peter and said, I've got all 3 answers. Really? Tell me, which 2 days of the week begin with the letter T? And he said, today and tomorrow. So St. Peter said, well, I don't have it in my model answer sheet, but yes, I'll have to grant it to you. Today and tomorrow seems fine. All right, the next question. How many seconds are there in a year? Now, you must have had trouble with that. Forrest Gump said, no way, that was the simplest of all. 12 seconds. 12 seconds? How did you come to that? He said, extremely easy. 2nd of Jan, 2nd of Feb, 2nd of March, and so on and so forth. Oh, I don't have it in my model answer sheet either, but I guess I'll have to grant it to you. And then he said, what is God's first name? So he said, I know the Lord's Prayer. So I know God's name is Howard. How did you get that? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. St. Peter said, go straight into heaven. Do we encourage this kind of thinking in our educational system? We call this lateral thinking. We say it's extremely important for creativity, as if creativity is something which is apart. You can't be a scientist unless you're creative, right? But somehow creativity is associated with the arts. If you're a teacher, again, you're expecting a kind of answer. And if a student thinks in this radically different way, you are disturbed. You all are familiar with Robert Burns' delightful lyric, oh, my love's like a red, red rose. All right? So, oh, my love's like a red, red rose that newly sprung in June. Suppose a student tells you, why was she red? Did she have measles? Ouch. It's a love lyric. Oh, you've spoilt it. But red is the color associated with measles, right? So could you just tell the student to go a little ahead and find out if that's the case with the rest of the poem, if she's really ill? And if the whole poem is read, by then the student knows it's not that way. So we don't really encourage creative thinking, but we have classes on teaching creative writing. How interesting is that? And do we really encourage students to think independently? No. The entire system doesn't allow that. You're just made to learn enough to get a job, to launch out on a career, to get married, to have children, and then to kick the bucket. Nothing else. Nothing else. Surely there is a higher purpose in creating you. And we are all capable of that. But we've only been told that some special people can achieve. They are the achievers. Who are the achievers? People who are extremely skilled at giving back what society, the way society wants it to be given back. The way the educational system wants it to be given back. So each one of you is important here. Do you get this point? And do you feel important? But you are sitting like this, so I don't see you feeling important. Do you feel you are the ones who are going to bring about change? You have found this world in a mess. Are you going to change it? Or are you going to let it deteriorate saying, oh, I'm small fry, I can do nothing? Yes? No, okay. All right, so let's carry on. So this is a story of Forrest Gump. You can go fast, I've finished this. The second kind of thinking is associative thinking. Associative thinking gives you your EQ, your emotional quotient. When probes, computer probes are attached to your brain, they show themselves to be roots of trees. They wire differently. Today, you may say you like me. Tomorrow, if I meet you outside and I just go past you, probably not recognizing you, what are you going to say? Oh, she's such a snob. What's happened? A rewiring. Third day, if you again meet me and I don't even look in your direction, you will say, I actually hate her for the kind of person she is. What's happening? It just may be that I've not recognized you. But then your emotional intelligence allows your brain to rewire. All right? This is a kind of associative thinking. And it gives you your EQ. Clear? Then we go further to unitive thinking. Unitive thinking is the highest form of thinking. It is what gives you your SQ. SQ is what? Spiritual quotient. Just see the effect of the West on us. Our whole Indian culture, I'm not in any way glorifying Indian culture. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. But as children, as young people, in the past, you always grew up to believe in the right values, to believe in God, thankfully in many families even today. But what is happening with the influence of the West? It's getting eroded in the name of globalization. Or, very snobbishly, young people who don't understand the different kinds of intelligences say, oh, I'm very logical minded and therefore all this is not important to me. Ha! Tell me that again. Try and lift this heavy table with one hand. You will find it so difficult. And like Shelley, you'll say, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. You're lifting it with only one hand. That is what you believe in, your rational intelligence. Lift it with two hands. With your spiritual intelligence, it becomes so easy. This is a metaphor for life. Your life will become easy when you develop unitive intelligence. And this is nothing fanciful. Now again, if we want to go to the West for validation, Dana Zohar and Ian Marshall in the year 2000 came up with this amazing book called Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence. If your spiritual quotient, your SQ is high, automatically your EQ scores will go higher and your IQ scores will also show progress. Why? Why do you think that's the case? Am I fibbing? Do you believe that's possible? That when your spiritual quotient is developed, then your EQ and your IQ, they show higher ratings. Why? Yes? Anyone? Have you ever taken a wise decision when you've been in a state of emotional turmoil? When you're really angry, do you say the right things? No, you don't, right? When your SQ is highly developed, you are far more balanced, you're clear-headed, and therefore all the IQs show higher ratings. So it's a win-win situation. There's one amazing writer called Willie Ermine, and he is native Canadian. And Willie Ermine says, don't bother, it's okay. Anjali, don't bother, it's okay. Willie Ermine, he says, you are born spiritual. You can choose to be human. What an amazing statement. You are born spiritual, but you can choose to be human. What am I trying to say by quoting him? Any guesses? You're born spiritual. It is a part of you. Now science has proved it. Are you aware of this astrophysicist Greg Braden? He's got amazing books called The God Code and several others, but this is one basic book, and The Divine Matrix. Science has actually detected a very ephemeral God essence in our very cells. We can't deny spirituality anymore. Scientifically, we can't deny spirituality. And guess what? The most amazing thing is, the best books on spirituality today are written by scientists. Hardcore scientists. Bruce Lipton, stem cell biologist. Greg Braden, astrophysicist. Mani Bhaumik, who invented laser eye surgery. You know, everyone goes in for the lens implants for cataracts. He's written this amazing book, codenamed God. And I could name any number, starting with Fritjof Capra. The book is called The Tao of Physics. It's not written, it's pronounced as Tao, but it is a T. The T is not pronounced as Tao. It's pronounced as Tao, the Tao of Physics. That was the first courageous book. And now we have just so many. Most recently, the book which is making waves is Ibn Alexander, Proof of Heaven. Hardcore neurosurgeon. He contracted E. coli meningitis and he was declared brain dead. And during that time, he reports his journey and he talks about the kind of spiritual experiences that he had. Strangely, he survived. And after he came back to consciousness, his first thought was, let me not talk about it because it's going to jeopardize my reputation as a hardcore scientist. But then he went ahead and he did that, and he's written book after book. Proof of Heaven, book 1, and the more recent one is Map of Heaven. Hardcore scientists. There's enough evidence now. We don't have to belabor the point. So now we're not ashamed to talk about our spirituality. We can see how the corporates function. What do they do? First, all the spiritual intentions and yearnings are eroded. And then 40 plus you have to relearn them. How stupid is that? How stupid is that? So, unitive thinking. Unitive thinking makes you realize that you are not the body. However much your consumer culture may tell you you are the body, you are not the body. You don't have any control over your body. Can you tell your heart, oh, excuse me, heart, you've been beating for 23 years, please take rest for 2 minutes? Can you tell your organs to secrete or not to secrete the various juices? You have no control over your body, but you are made to believe that you have complete control over your body, and where your body ends, your identity also ends. If any of you are familiar with eco-criticism, spatial criticism, they are talking about the self as space. You are co-extensive with the environment. And I'll come to that again a little later. So you're not the body. You're not the mind, because your mind keeps changing. Right? You're not your emotions. Metaphorically, you're all familiar with the wheel at Konark, the Sun Temple. Yeah, you've seen that image at least. So look at this image of the wheel. It's there in Buddhism, Hinduism, and several other mystic traditions. Everything changes. Everything in life has to change, because change is a law of nature. Right? You may go on asking your husband or your boyfriend, do you still love me? Why? Because you fear change. Right? So, change is inevitable. But at the center is a still point. And what does Yeats say about it? What happens when this still point falls, then things fall apart. The center cannot hold. When the center cannot hold, things fall apart. And the same is true of your lives. When your essential center cannot hold, and here what would it mean metaphorically? Cannot hold means cannot cope with the challenges of life. Then things fall apart. And that is when you run to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and you take treatment, or you give away your power to somebody else. But it's only there for you to hold. There's a technique to help you. And you can adopt any technique. Whatever you resonate with, whatever spiritual modality you resonate with is right for you. But that is going to help you to hold things within you. Yes, life's challenges will come. But look at them as challenges instead of problems. We love to use this word problem, isn't it? My little neighbor in junior KG, I met her in the lift and I asked her, what are you doing and where are you going? She said, I'm going for tuition, auntie, because I've got tension. tension. I didn't have tension when I was doing 2 PhDs. You know, we subject our children to tons and tons of pressure. We tell them what to be instead of allowing them to be the kind of human beings they are meant to be. And one thing that you must remember, students, go by your talents. Right. So the parents will only demand that you do this or that or this or that. Just understand one thing. Every single one is born with a talent. Nobody is without a talent. It depends on you to discover your talent. But how can you discover your talent when society tells you, if you are really smart, you will be this. If you're not that smart, you will be that. And if you're dum-dums, you will come and do arts and literature. Or even worse still, you'll do the fine arts. Go by your passion. Go by your talent. Even if it's not going to earn you 20,000 rupees a month, you will still be happy. And that happiness will be much more than your 20,000 or 70,000 rupees. Trust me when I say this. Just believe in yourself. Discover your talents. And you'll never go wrong. So we are not all these. We are experiencing divinity in many, many ways. I just said each one is born with a talent, but some speciality that God has given you. You are unique and one. Similarly, God has also given you 4 channels to listen to God. But we don't listen to God. There's so much of chatter, buzz, wail, and all the time we want distractions. If we are alone, we are terrified. Arey, main to akeli hu, aa jana bhi. Or we put on the stupid TV, or Facebook, or fubbing. You know, that's the new word. When you don't socialize and you're on your phone all the time. That's called fubbing. So what do? You find distractions instead of saying, wow, I've got this amazing time to myself and I can go deep within myself and really find out something more about myself. All this chatter, buzz, wail takes us away from our true divinity. And yet, we all have a special way of connecting with God. Some of us are clairvoyant. We can see things very clearly. Which means that all the messages from God come to us through our visual sense. Okay? Some of us are clairaudient. All the messages come from hearing. Hearing a lecture or hearing somebody talk in the train. I have been in the train and somebody has mentioned a book and that's exactly the book I need to read at that time. That's clairaudience. Clairsentience, where you get gut feelings for no reason whatsoever. You say, I like this person, I don't like that person. And yet what does society teach you? No. You must be polite to everyone. You must like everyone. When you're a child and you say, mujhe ye auntie pasand nahi hai. What does your mother say? Hey, chup re. Isn't it? Why? If that auntie is not nice and you don't like her, you just have to teach the child to be polite and either shut up and not say anything. But don't teach the child to be hypocritical. Because then the child believes that yes, these kind of white lies, there are no white, pink or blue lies. Lies are lies. Right? So, that's clairsentience, when you feel it in your body. Claircognizance is when you get it in the form of thoughts. And suddenly a thought comes from nowhere, and you develop that thought, and you say, wow, what I've produced is something unique. Alright? So, God speaks to us, but we don't listen to God. That's the only truth. Yes. Now, these are some of the quotes, interesting quotes from Spiritual Intelligence. I named this book by Dana Zohar and Ian Marshall. Spiritual quotient is the intelligence that rests in the deep part of the self that is connected to wisdom from beyond the ego or the conscious mind. We mistake knowledge for wisdom. Knowledge comes from outside. Wisdom comes from within. Saraswati is holding a book in her hand. But Ganesha's wisdom comes from within. And therefore he has this big pot belly. Not because he ate all those modaks and didn't go to the modern version of a torture chamber called a gym. But because all wisdom gods all over the world have big tummies. So if you have a big tummy, no problem. Okay? But spiritual intelligence goes beyond the ego. What are you studying from as students? Are you studying from your ego self, or are you studying from your spirit self? Are you doing it for the love of learning, or are you doing it because you won the marks, you won the gold medals? It's entirely different. It's two different things. As ma'am has said in her thesis, self beyond self. Self with a capital S is your deep true self, your God self. And with a small self is your personality self, your ego-dominated self. So spiritual intelligence goes beyond that. If you go to satsangs, if you go for a nice lecture, if you go to church and listen to a powerful preacher, you feel, oh, so good, so good. But can you translate that into action? Unless you repeat it with determination, it won't happen. So it doesn't become spiritual intelligence. It only touches the God spot in your prefrontal lobes. And it stimulates it for a while. Then it depends on you to really internalize it and make it into a habit and a destiny, as Gandhi would say. Okay? So that's, could we have the next one, please? This is Tony Buzan. You've heard of him as the pioneer of mind mapping, haven't you? Right. We'll see what he's majorly into spiritual intelligence. Besides increasing our inner peace and strength, the development of spiritual intelligence allows us to see the lighter, more humorous side of things and to regain those qualities such as enthusiasm, cheerfulness, energy, persistence that characterizes children. And therefore the Bible says, become a child. You first need to become a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. Somehow we feel that the more we achieve in life, whatever the term achieve means, we need to become more serious, less enthusiastic, more boxed in. You're killing yourself that way. At this stage in my life, when I'm about to retire, I have the choice of thinking of myself as nearing 60 years old or 60 years young. Entirely up to me. If I think of myself as 60 years old, I'm going to say, Arey Baba, all the problems of old age. Arey ye darad kiya, wo darad kiya. I can't do this, I can't do that. It's just a question of your mind. Believe me, it is. So just be very strong, believe in yourself, and think about your inner growth. Explore your inner landscape instead of obsessively exploring the outer landscape. And worse still, you claim to understand other people. I know why she harassed me. She purposely did it. Are you don't understand your own mind, how can you understand somebody else's mind? You see how foolishly we are taught to behave. Only because at the school and college levels, nothing prepares us with self-knowledge to understand ourselves. Do you agree? You don't have to nod your head. If you don't agree, say you don't agree. Say no, we are fine the way we are. If our logical intelligence worked for us perfectly, there would be no war, no hunger, no poverty, no ecological devastation. It hasn't worked for us because we have given it an exalted status. Instead of saying it's one of the intelligences, we've just made it into the intelligence. Okay? So let's carry on. Spirituality involves the highest level of any of the developmental lines: cognitive, moral, emotional, and interpersonal. Spiritual intelligence manifests as wisdom and compassionate action. I am thrilled when somebody refers to me as a compassionate human being rather than a super intelligent human being. It's just the ego. Super intelligent. What's that? But compassionate, yes. That is why I was born. And this is the highest kind of intelligence. There's no two ways about it. Okay, let's carry on. This is Krishnamurti. To understand the immeasurable, the mind must be extraordinarily still and quiet. To understand God, your mind has to be still. We are often told that we are made in God's image, but what do? We make God in our image. Are you with me? So what do we tell each other? See, God will punish you. Huh? If you do this, then God will really give you a blow, and then we'll call that karma. Alright? Makes sense? If God is as halkat as we are, why do we need to worship Him? God is infinite mercy, pity, love. Enough. Nothing else. Nothing beyond that. But we attempt to understand God, and we claim to understand God, which is not the case. Because God will never punish. Even when you go wrong, God will say, you know the story of the prodigal son. There is more joy in heaven over one sinner that repenteth. You want to change tracks? Yes. God and the angels are always with you. So, your mind has to be still. And as is rightly said, the theme of today's talk, be calmly active. Once you are calm, everything that you do is going to be powerful. You are going to be able to make that change. Mother Teresa was once asked if she would join an anti-war movement. And she said she wouldn't do that. She would join a pro-peace movement. Till the time you are anti-something, you are in a state of dissonance, discord. Those of you who are literature students here, what does Iago promise to do when he sees Othello and Desdemona deeply in love with each other? He says he will unstring that instrument in order to cause discord. So when you are not centered, when you are not peaceful, you cannot take the right kind of action. Does it make sense? It's nothing deadly serious. Alright, you're permitted to smile, you're permitted to laugh. Alright, let's carry on. Your innermost sense of self, of who you are, is inseparable from stillness and is deeper than name or form, says Eckhart Tolle. How beautiful, how powerful are these lines? The sense of self of who you are. I am, full stop. The minute you say, I am this, separation comes. And the ego thrives on separation. If I say, I am Coomi, it means I am Coomi versus all of you. But just that I am. This is a concept of Satchitta Ananda. The same chitta which is in me, is there in you, is there in the table. Wordsworth and the Pantheists were not mad when they said, roll round in earth's diurnal course among rocks and stones and trees. Remember the Lucy poems? Yes. Yes. Because if this chair is photographed with Curlane photography, it gives out rays. After Einstein, we know there is nothing like dead matter. Isn't it? Everything is energy. We'll come to that very, very soon. And then I'd like to take you into a meditation as well. The reason for not cultivating our unitive intelligence is because our society values competition rather than cooperation. Right? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Who cares if you're the fairest? Why think in terms of that? Again, as I said, ego makes you see separation. I am fairest, whatever that means. And why is it important? I'm just giving you a silly example. But everything is rooted in competition. She has that much, I have this much. She at a better level. Her marks are more than me, God knows how she got it. Whatever. But our complete thinking is rooted in competition rather than cooperation. And now I'm going to give you some hard facts from science. Okay? Scientific research tells us that we are biochemically hardwired for connection and not for competition. Our bodies are hardwired for cooperation, for connection, and not for competition. Neuroscientists and endocrinologists have discovered that human connection reduces stress hormones in the blood and enables us to make rational decisions. When you're all keyed up and stressed out, you don't make rational decisions. So it brings down this level of stress. You know that the worst kind of punishment to human beings is solitary confinement. For precisely this reason, no connection. It triggers the release of enzymes which heal damages to the telomeres on the tips of chromosomes caused by stress. Stress actually damages your chromosomes, and that's why it's no big surprise how many young people today suffer from PCODs and other stress-related problems. Third, yes. That's all right. One more. It increases the neurotransmitter dopamine, which enhances attention and pleasure. So when your mind is calm, you are extremely alert and attentive. It's a win-win situation, isn't it? Yes. It increasing serotonin, which reduces fear and worry. All right? Because once you are in touch with yourself, you realize there's actually nothing to fear. And all our lives, we go on with fears. What if, what if, what if? What can happen? I often say, if fear knocks at the door, send faith to open it. Just that. Send faith. You only have a choice between fear and faith. No, nothing will go wrong in my life. A while ago, one of my batchmates, she sent me a Julie Andrews song, where Julie Andrews at the age of 80 is now, she's changed the words of raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, and she talks about how there are dentures and whatever else, walking sticks and all. I refuse to listen to such silly songs because I've told myself I'm going skipping into heaven, like Forrest Gump. Okay? It's a choice. We make our choices, all right? It increases the levels of oxytocin and vasopressin, which makes us more trusting of others. If you are stressed out, you don't need medication, for God's sake. When you are taking medication, you're pumping chemicals into your body which are going to have some kind of side effect. It all depends on you and the choices you make. Are you wanting to work with yourself, or are you going to give away your power by going to a doctor or a counselor or to whoever? Okay. Attachment theory. This is a very, very powerful theory. Much research has gone into it. Attachment theory is based on scientific findings. A global research study of 50,000 individuals found that employees who feel connected are 20% more productive than the average employee and 87% less likely to leave the organization. When do you feel connected with your institution? When you feel there are people who care, people whom you can relate to. So we human beings are hardwired for that. But everything in our society teaches us something very, very different. It teaches us to be fiercely individualistic. And it doesn't mind teaching the wrong values. Some of you may be knowing this, may have seen this recent ad, a horrible ad by a horrible man called Salman Khan. He wants his thumbs up. His girlfriend says, oh, there is no thumbs up in the fridge. And he says, tufani log aise mante nahi. And he goes crazily on his bike. He jumps, he steals a thumbs up from a truck, steals it. And he comes back saying that I've got what I want. What is this kind of rubbishy ad doing to people who are witnessing it? Okay. No, correct. Very good. I'm so glad you pointed that out, Anjali. If you are obsessed or if you are feverish about something, immediately you are in a state of imbalance. Correct? Anything in extreme will cause your personality to be lopsided. Okay? So, according to Michael Lee Stallard, we need to ask ourselves, which of the three are we? Are we intentional disconnectors? Are we the Narad Munis? Arey, un dono ke beech mein jhagda karwa diya. I'm so happy. And in every organization there will be, in every institution there will be intentional disconnectors. There will also be unintentional disconnectors, people with very low EQ. They don't realize anything and they go around saying the wrong things and rubbing up people the wrong way. They don't mean to, but they end up doing that. And then there will be the intentional connectors. No, that's all right. We can have differences, but we can still work together. So, yeah, not only making peace, but experiencing that peace and making sure that the atmosphere changes in the group dynamics. So, yes. So, one of the things, an intentional connector works with vision, value, and voice. Vision, there is something larger than me, isn't there? Values, where you value other people and you respect them. All right? You don't say that this person is radically different from me, therefore I'm not going to be able to work with that person. No, it has a different set of values. I'm still able to work with that person because I respect the common chitta. I understand the common chitta. And voice, everyone must have the liberty to voice their true opinions. When you are an intentional connector, you work with these three. In my book, Sourceful Intelligence, Understanding Uniqueness and Oneness Through Education, no bragging here, this book was published in the US and it was selected among the 18 best books on education in 2013 as changing educational paradigms. Okay? Now what am I saying in this book and what's so different? I'll explain that to you in minutes. What is sourceful intelligence and why do we need it? Sourceful intelligence is a dual capacity that we humans have of understanding and experiencing uniqueness and oneness. Just understand this. Of course we are unique. The upper layers of our mind make us unique. All right? The conscious level of the mind and the personal unconscious is a Jungian paradigm. They make us unique. I'm different from you. My life's experiences, my reading, it's different from yours. So we are unique. We talked about a special talent that comes here. But at the deeper levels of the psyche, at the level of the collective unconscious and the deep self, we are essentially one. And when we believe in this kind of paradigm, Yes, you can change it. We move from a self versus other consciousness. Now, if as a teacher I have a self versus other consciousness, then I will say that I have to prove that my knowledge is superior to, say, that of Priyal ma'am's. Why? Priyal ma'am was my student a couple of years ago. If I have a self versus other consciousness, what does that mean? All the time I'm nervous. If she has read a book and I haven't read it, I'm fibbing. I'm saying, yes, of course, but I read it so long back I don't remember it. And which may be foolish because the book may have just come out. That is when you work from the level of competition. I'm in my ghetto and she can't really be smarter than me. Why? We have been taught to think in terms of superior versus inferior. And you don't want to risk your position. If you go to the next step, it's self and other. She has had some amazing experiences in her life and I have had. So sharing is what it's all about. Do you see? All the fears are gone. Sharing. In eco-criticism, we have a similar model. When I teach eco-criticism, I'm working on using the same paradigm. And the final level is all is self. There is no other. The same divine essence in me is there in every single one. As I just said a while ago, in rocks and stones and trees and desks and chairs and everything. When I have that attitude, I think, whom am I getting angry with? I'm getting angry with myself. Whom am I getting upset with? I'm getting upset with myself. So, what I have done in my book is I've come up with a teaching pedagogy where every lesson plan can be created in ways which will lead you from self versus other to self and other to an all is self consciousness. All right? Yes. I already mentioned Fritjof Capra. I'll summarize this. What Fritjof Capra says is that our entire education has only valorized and put its rubber stamp on yang values. Yang values, the masculine in education. Competition, achieving marks. Fine. Too much of emphasis. We've forgotten the yin. If we are into mythology, I'd like to say that we have overemphasized Apollo. You know, Apollo, the Greek god, he's a god of the mind, of the intellect, of rational intelligence. And we've neglected Aphrodite, the goddess of creativity and spontaneity, or perhaps even a Dionysus. All right? So I don't need this whole quote. I've summarized it. So let's get on to the next slide. A sourceful intelligence can be nurtured by foregrounding the three literacies: eco-literacy, socio-literacy, psycho-literacy. I'm a storyteller, and I have my storytelling organization where we train people into doing storytelling. We also do storytelling actively, not only with children, but even with corporates and others. So we talk about creating three literacies: psycho-literacy, self-smart; socio-literacy, other smart; the outside world, the inside world; and of course eco-literacy being nature smart. It's part of this entire paradigm. The three literacies can enable learners feel and believe in interconnectedness and see themselves as not merely Cartesian citizens belonging to certain nations or countries, but as Gaian citizens of the world. We just talk about globalization, but there is an immense politics to globalization. Who defines globalization? Again, countries in power define globalization. True globalization would mean that we take the best from every culture. Okay? Yeah? So, science valorizes this. In the past, we were told by Isaac Newton that matter versus energy. Therefore, this table was believed to be dead matter. And we, energy. Later on, we were told that everything is energy by the physics of relativity, by Einstein. Everything is energy. And the third is very important, and that is important for today's talk. Consciousness determines the form that energy takes, and that is quantum physics. Very, very simply, I'll explain this concept to you. After Einstein, scientists started researching energy in all its possible dimensions, and they found that at the subatomic level, energy behaves in a very peculiar way. Energy can remain as a wave or become crystallized as a particle depending on the consciousness of the observer. Do you get me? The consciousness of the observer is going to make energy into wave or particle. We are told by science that if you hold one negative thought for 17 seconds, only 17 seconds, it snowballs and multiplies in geometric ratio. And what are you doing? You're creating particles. Whatever you put out is going to come back to you. And therefore you say, I don't know why such stupid people come to me, because you've got stupid thoughts in your head. Change those thoughts, change those perceptions, and now it's science which is telling us that. Okay? The trajectory traced by pure science is valorize the sourceful intelligence paradigm. Yes? Einstein, he believed that we are essentially passive observers living in a universe that's already in place. So he valorized, in spite of his genius, he valorized the self versus other consciousness. After him came John Wheeler. And Wheeler insists on shattering the plate glass between us and the universe. The old world observer is replaced by the new world participator. I just explained this to you, that it will depend on you whether energy remains as a wave or a particle. So now you are responsible for what you create. If you create unhappiness in your life, and if you attract illnesses, it's your thinking. And the joyful part of it is you have the power to change it. Got that? So this is a self and other. Einstein was self versus other. And then David Bohm, who is often referred to as a spiritual son of Einstein. David Bohm came up with a near holistic view of the universe and our role in it. According to Bohm, the things we see, touch, and that appear separate are part of the explicate order. You and I appear separate here, right? But at the quantum level, at the implicate order level, we are all one. That's what quantum mechanics is all about. Exploring the oneness. So it's coming to the same thing that we have been talking about from times immemorial, and which we've forgotten after the so-called enlightenment, which I refer to as the beginning of the true dark age in our thinking. Right. So the overall aim is to help us move from polarity consciousness, me versus you, poles, to unity consciousness. And it's nothing fanciful. Unity consciousness doesn't mean suppressing differences. It means working with and respecting differences and even celebrating differences. You get that, no? Nobody's asking you to suppress differences. There is a way in which you can articulate it. You can either be assertive or you can be aggressive. The minute you are aggressive, what happens? The other one, the person is put on defense mode. But when you are assertive and you are able to keep your cool, as it were, then you are truly effective. All right? So, no book or expert advice can make us into intentional connectors. to become an intentional connector, a deep, reflective, transformative journey is the only way. Those of you who have studied Adrienne Rich would probably be familiar with her poem Diving into the Wreck, where the diver dives into the wreck not for the story of the wreck, but to experience that wreck. So each one's path will be different. There cannot be a book which will say, if this happens, you do this. Again, you're giving away your power. You're letting someone else think for you. When you become truly intelligent, you turn your gaze inwards and you say, I know the answers are all within me. Okay? So how self-empowering can that become? Okay. The inner journey begins with diving into our own minds to understand ourselves and discover that we are essentially love, peace, and joy, and then working to create a better world. Yes, please. I'll again give you a break from all this information. You probably know this amazing story of the Zen warrior, the Zen master, and the samurai warrior. The samurai warrior was a disciple of the Zen master, and one day these two were walking through the forest. The samurai warrior turned to the master and said, Master, please let me know what is heaven and hell. The master looked at him and said, a fool like you think you'll understand? The samurai warrior got angry and he unsheathed his sword. Very quietly the master said, that is hell. He understood. He put it back in his sheath, he bowed, and the master said, that is heaven. Heaven and hell are not outside. They are within us. When we are angry, hurt, jealous, when we are overpowered by negative emotions, we experience hell. Saint Augustine has talked about it so eloquently in his Confessions. And when we are in a state of calm and bliss, and we know we've done something good, we actually experience heaven. Okay? Right. Next. There are simple ways of cultivating the stillness. Now I come to the practical tools. I'll run through them very, very quickly. How much time do we have? We have 25 minutes. Yeah, sure. Prayers, active imaging, and meditation are a very, very powerful way of working. There's a difference. When you are doing active imagings, I use the word active imagings rather than visualization, which is a more common term. Because the minute you use visualization, there'll be several people who will say, well, I cannot visualize. I'm not a visual person. You remember what I said earlier? That clairvoyance is just one of the four. Therefore, I prefer not to use the word visualization. I use the word Jungian term, active imaging. And meditation. And prayers. When you are praying, you send out a request to God. And every single time God is answering your prayer, but you don't understand it. Because your body vibrations are gross, and there is so much going on here. Right? So, meditation can be of two types. There can be guided meditation, which proceeds with one person saying something and the group trying to experience it. Or it can be meditation without words, where you merely concentrate. The second is slightly more difficult than the first, not impossible. Not impossible. Over a period of time, you can bring stillness to yourself. And what will happen is, initially you'll say, oh, I'm not the meditating type, because when I'm meditating, all thoughts come into my mind. This is what the mind has done all its life. So stop judging your mind. Whatever happens is right. And you will find, however, that there'll be some split seconds of silence. And those seconds of silence are enough to recharge your batteries. Okay? Over a period of time, the gap between two thoughts widens. And that's when you actually experience peace. So would you like to do a meditation with me? Right? So let's start. No, it's all right. You're feeling cold. Oh, I thought lights. Yeah. Everyone's feeling cold now that the AC is. All right. So let's start. Take a few deep breaths. Visualize breathing in golden energy, which is cleansing every cell of your body. And breathe out every bit of stress and worry. Feel every part of your body becoming calm and peaceful. Visualize amazing golden roots growing from the soles of your feet, taking your energies deep into Mother Earth and entwining around a powerful master crystal at the center of the earth. This is the heart of Lady Gaia. Bring the beautiful grounding energies of our Earth Mother into your body, through those roots, up your legs, up the spine, head, and all the way up to God. And bring down the beautiful energies of God, and feel the two energies merging and mingling in your sacred heart, which is slightly below your physical heart. Feel that connectedness with Mother Earth and Father Sky, and know that you are never alone, that you exist on a continuum. Now visualize any ascended master or any being of light whom you revere, and see that being cover you completely with the white light from God. Know that you are totally and completely protected. And now we call upon that same being of light to help cleanse all our chakras. Our chakras are the energy vortices in our body, mainly aligned along our spine. There are a few which are away from our body, and these are extremely important during this particular period of the Earth's transition. Gradually take your attention to 6 inches below the soles of your feet, to the Earth Star Chakra, which is black and white in color, and ask that being of light to please open, cleanse, align, and energize it. See that energy vortice completely clean and balanced. Now gradually take your awareness to the base of your spine, which is where your base chakra is. And ask that being of light to please open, cleanse, align, and energize the base chakra. Once this chakra is balanced, you will not have any fears about your safety and security. And now take the energy further up to 4 inches below the navel, which is where your sacral chakra is. This beautiful chakra is shimmering pale pink in color. Once again, invite the being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize this chakra so that you give and receive love with tenderness and remain creative at all times. Gradually shift your awareness to the navel chakra, which is 1 inch below your physical navel. Once again, ask the being of light to please open, cleanse, align, and energize this brilliant orange color navel chakra so that you remain completely balanced even when you enjoy sociability. Now take your attention to your powerful solar plexus chakra. This is a seat of all power issues. This is where all your knowledge transmutes into wisdom. Ask that being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize this very powerful gold with rainbow-colored light solar plexus chakra. And now take your attention to the heart chakra, to the sacred heart, which is slightly below your physical heart. Once again, ask the being of light to please open, cleanse, align, and energize this chakra. This chakra will enable you to give unconditional love, compassion, and empathy. See this entire chakra filled with golden light. Keeping your eyes closed, face your palms towards me, and as I sing, you visualize and you bless every part of Mother Earth. We're calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. Africa. See the entire continent of Africa completely cleansed and balanced and giving out golden light. We're calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. Antarctica. See the entire continent of Antarctica enjoying ecological balance. We are calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. Asia. Bless the continent of Asia. See all the the darkness, hunger, poverty, corruption, everything lifted from it, and golden light now emitting from there. We're calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. Australia. See the continent of Australia casting off all the pain and suffering of the past, particularly the pain endured by the indigenous peoples of that continent, and see golden energy emitting from it. We're calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. Europe. See the continent of Europe yielding up all the darkness of wars, suffering, the Second World War, the pain caused by dictators in that continent. We're calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. North America. See North America glowing with golden light. Every continent on the earth has seen pain and suffering. See that being transmuted to golden light. We are calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. South America. See South America again being cleansed of the colonial pain and the trauma that it endured. We are calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. See all the water bodies, the oceans, seas, rivers, everything completely cleansed. The waters flow freely and are completely clean. We are calling in the golden ray, the light of the central sun. We are shining forth on all the land. The age of light has begun. Planet Earth. See the entire planet move from being a third-dimensional planet with a lot of darkness to a fifth-dimensional planet which is radiating golden light. What you have done is you have channeled golden light and blessed Mother Earth. Keeping your eyes still closed, you can put down your hands and we continue. So gradually take your attention to the throat chakra. This throat chakra is royal blue in color. Ask the being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize this chakra so that you speak your truth peacefully and powerfully and co-create with God. And now take your attention to the third eye, which is on your forehead, between the eyebrows and slightly above it. Ask the being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize the third eye chakra so that divine wisdom informs us through our intuition every moment of our lives. And now take the attention to the crown chakra at the top of your head. It's slightly above the top of your head, 2 inches above it. This chakra is crystal in color. Ask the beings of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize it, so that every cell of your body is imbued with the beautiful light of your soul. And now gradually shift your attention to the back of your head, which is where your pure white causal chakra is. Ask the being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize it, so that all the messages from God are perfectly received by you and perfectly understood by you. With that, we move to the soul star chakra, which is 6 inches above the top of our heads. Ask the being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize it, so that we live in accordance with our divine blueprint and understand our soul mission on earth. And finally, we take our attention to the stellar gateway chakra, which is 12 inches above the top of our heads. Ask the being of light to open, cleanse, align, and energize it, so that our 5th dimensional Merkaba is lit and active in and around us, and at all times we are connected to God and all that is. Gradually bring back your energies and your aura to a size that's right and comfortable for you. Know that you are perfectly grounded, perfectly attuned, totally protected. Thank the being of light who has assisted you with the chakra cleansing and balancing. Gradually come back to the room, feeling joy in your heart that you are a beautiful child of God and very, very loved. And very gradually, you may open your eyes. Do you see what we did? We don't only work on ourselves. We work also for the planet. The highest kind of work that you can do is service. We talk about karma yoga. It's extremely important. Bhakti is important. Gyan is important. But equally important, if not more, is karma yoga. So, were you happy with the meditation? Did anyone feel troubled or anything at any point in the meditation? Did you like giving out that energy to the different continents of the world? Yes, okay, good. So we'll proceed with a few more ideas. Music and sound is again a great way of centering to help you become calmly active. I could do a whole session on this, a whole session on sound therapy and what different kinds of sounds do to your body. But we don't have time for that today. It's a short lecture. So music and sound will definitely help you become calm and centered. Lyrical dancing. Lyrical dancing is very, very different from the tamasic and the rajasic dances that you see in Bollywood films. That's fun. I don't deny that. I love dancing. That's fun, but it's not going to help you really calm down. So if during my courses, I've just had people break into tears when they've done this kind of dancing. Because people have said, oh, I thought I was so old, I didn't even want to step onto it. But everyone's eyes are closed. You don't know what the other is doing. And just move to the music. And then the music really takes over. And it's a tremendous release. It's a tremendous release, lyrical dancing. It's something you can do at home. Don't do it on the streets. Okay. Connecting with nature. Perhaps the most powerful way. It's not just the romantic poets or the eco-poets who talk about it. But one inspiration from the vernal woods can teach you more than all your books can, and really helps to center you. Storytelling and creative expression. Any kind of creative expression is going to bring in the right brain, which is not used. And then once the right brain comes in, to actually do it well, both the parts of the brain have to come in. Your story must have a logical sequence as well. So it becomes a whole-brained experience. And as you're doing that kind of storytelling, as I said, we do it for eco-literacy, psycho-literacy, social-literacy. It's again a very, very powerful way of healing the consciousness of oneself and others. All right? Art and craft goes without saying. When in the Tibetan way of thinking, they do these mandalas, right? When you do mandala painting, it's the whole sense is a sense of continuity and flow. So if you've actually seen people making the mandalas, one person cannot lift his hand and take it away unless the other person has done a little bit of work, and then that person can move out and the next person continues. The whole idea is of flow. When you're doing a mandala, when you're doing art and painting, the colors you use express your inner states. And what you want to change, you can change by bringing in a whole new set of colors. So they're very, very expressive of your consciousness. There's something which is called spontaneous drawing, which Jung talked about. If you draw a tree, based on that tree, I can tell you a lot about yourself. I've done it on the net for people for long, but now there is no time for that kind of activity. But spontaneous drawing, art, craft, definitely. Again, these are all activities which these are all things that can be done when you're alone. You don't need anyone else for it. Watching interpersonally intelligent movies, and there are a whole lot of them. In my book, I've actually listed some of the interpersonally smart movies. Yes? This is very powerful. I am boxes. Whatever adjective you put after the words I am is what you become. If you say, I am helpless, you will become helpless. But if you can say, I can help myself, or I'm strong, I call it flipping the switch. Again, in my book, I've given a whole list of flipping switches from one negative emotion to a positive emotion. Literally tell yourself that there are these two boxes. You don't have to suppress anything. If you're angry, put it in one box. Mentally. You can even do it mentally. Now, if it's in that red box, how do I make it into a yellow box? How do I flip that anger? How do I bring more and more things into my yellow box? Just be creative. Decide. But the minute you say, I am ill, you will surely remain ill and worse. I am getting well is different. Now, all of you know that there is something called affirmations. There's a problem with affirmations because affirmations are absolutely great for the conscious mind. But 95% of our daily thoughts are controlled by the unconscious mind. So, if you are looking into the mirror and saying, I am beautiful, the subconscious mind is saying, ha, there are many more who are more beautiful than you. Finished. It gets sabotaged. So, scientists have come up with something different called affirmations, which means asking questions in a positive way. Why is it that I'm just so beautiful? If you believe that you're beautiful as you are and God has made you perfect, you will not look for validation in the outside world. Therefore, if somebody tells you your hairstyle is not looking good, you won't get devastated. You know what I mean, right? So it's so easy to do it. Again, it's a question of choosing your emotions. Think of your emotions as different kinds of gifts that are laid out in front of you, your positive emotions. And your troublesome emotions as all kinds of ugly little things in packets which are wrapped up. How are you going to change one to the other? The choice is yours. Okay, carry on. Serving others. I talked about service a moment ago, so I won't elaborate on that. Connecting with pets. This is a huge way of de-stressing. Huge way. And obviously when you're working and connecting with pets, all your compassion, love, and the good energies flow. Yes? So there is this amazing exercise to experience oneness. I don't think we have time for it, but I'll tell you what it's about. In ancient Vedic culture, this was called Upnayan. When a Shishya went to a Guru, the Guru and the Shishya would look into each other's eyes without blinking. Now you'll think this is easy. It's not. You are not used to looking into each other's eyes and saying nothing. The great bard Shakespeare, he said that windows are the soul's, eyes are the soul's, eyes are the windows to your soul. Eyes are the windows to your soul, beg your pardon. And it's true. So when you are looking into each other's eyes, a lot of things come up. You may laugh uncontrollably, you may cry, you may want to turn your gaze away. It's because you have still not experienced connection. If you wish to do it, we can do it in 5 minutes. It's up to you. Is that okay, Anjali? 5 minutes or 2 minutes? We'll cut it short. All right. Just do it very, very simply. Turn to your partner. You see how much of silliness will come up. You will feel awkward. You will feel embarrassed. You will just not want to look straight into that person's eyes. If you do this over a period of time, obviously, if entire families agree to it, there'll be such powerful connections. You won't have to do anything else. In the ancient Vedic tradition, you actually did this without talking. That is the next stage. It's even more difficult to do it in silence. So just look into each other's eyes. Whatever comes up while I'm singing is fine. Okay? Are we ready? Are you ready? No blinking. If you have to blink, you blink. Can you look into each other's eyes, please? Yeah. How can anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. And now you can face the front. What were your experiences? It was very awkward, wasn't it? It was, how many didn't feel it at all awkward? If you've done it the second or the third time, you will not feel it's awkward. But initially you do feel that kind of resistance which comes up. It's an amazing exercise. It's called Upnayan, and it's what I strongly recommend for any kind of experience of oneness. If we had the time, then we would be actually sitting in 2 rows, and 1 row moves. So you get to look into the eyes of each and every person. It brings about amazing bonding in a group. So I'll end with that. Next slide. This is my favorite quotation from Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God. But he who sees takes off his shoes. The others sit around and pluck berries. Do you want to be a berry picker? Or do you want to actually experience heaven on earth? The choice is yours. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there it goes. Now, thank you so much, Coomi. That really was marvelous. And do you want to take questions also, if any? There may not be, because you've really made everyone go into that golden silence of yours. But still, if there are science students here as well. I'm happy they came because you brought in so much of science there. Abhishek, you want to say something?
Yes, I mean, I said it in my book that before Einstein,
faculty as well here, computer science, for example. Megha is from computer science. Any questions? We'll try and get hold of both her books for our library, and you can borrow them. And I'm going to send the entire PPT on the WhatsApp group and the Google group, so that you can see it in all its colors, and it's the detailed expression of her holistic approach. Did you feel her passion? Did you feel enthused enough to explore further? And she had such clarity of vision, the way she has presented it. So have a look at the PPT at home as well. Okay, any other questions? Something troubling you? Nobody's troubled? I thought you would have some questions about vasanas and habit patterns. Yes, here is Pranav. Pranay or Pranav? Pranay. Pranav. Yeah.
What about here? Anyone? Any comments?
No doubting Thomases and Tomalinas, maybe, whatever we may call them. Yes, because the nature of the mind is to doubt and to come up with all kinds of negative, reservations about this whole approach of being positive and being holistic. Yes, you have something to ask. Is it Riddhi's look-alike? I know I said look-alike. What is your name then? Gayatri. Come, you wanted to ask something? Oh. I thought your eyes were saying something. Okay.
This is obviously been a journey. No two presentations that I do are now. Because every time I'm reading, I'm experiencing, I'm working on myself all the time. Unrelentingly. Almost ruthlessly. All the time. Where did it come? I'll give you a very small example. Suppose you are traveling by public transport.
That is the doubt I expected from you. What's the use me changing? The whole world is villainous and they're going to take advantage of my purity. Is that what you feel sometimes? And what does Coomi have to say on that?
There is a very beautiful song by Sue Miller and
Firstly, we would like to thank you, ma'am, for taking time out and coming here, since I personally know how busy you are always, handling things at the university, at various other places, storytelling. There's so much happening and there are so many people you're helping out. So we're really glad that you're here taking time out for us and for our students. Secondly, I would like to thank Anjali ma'am for organizing this and for taking the Center for Mindfulness ahead with such wonderful events. And the students who are here giving out their time. I know it's a rainy day and I know lots of them have missed, but I'm glad we're recording it and they're going to benefit from this. And lastly, I would just like to say that let us all depart with this message of oneness with us. You know, we are all going to go out of this room in our different ways, but let the spirit of oneness keep us together. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.